Does anyone else get really pissed off thinking about what we should have? Um, so let's just talk about recorded history that they openly tell us about. Um, when the first internal combustion engine, which is like a gas burning engine, was created, they made one that burned hydrogen or water alongside of it. And they came up with a list of reasons to not use it: power, efficiency, different things like this. Um, so basically, though, it was to hide the free energy. So even in their model, we should have it by now. We shouldn't be looking at solar, and we shouldn't be looking at fucking whatever, wind and all this bullshit where you gotta mine the earth to death. I've said it before, that if you put, like, I don't know, say 1,000 engines in a warehouse and had them all just mounted to the floor or up on shelves or whatever, and had them all running beside a reservoir, like a lake or whatever, you could power a city. You might need more than 1,000, but whatever. You could power a city and supply the drinking water, clean, pure, actual water, not trashy shit they give us now. We've also figured out ways to burn our own urine and stuff like this, in order to make power. So that would, because they say, well, we got to do something with all the fecal matter and all this and that. Well, I know tons of farmers, or not tons, but I know that there's farmers all over the world that spread their poop right along with the horse poop. Yeah, they just have a compost pile or whatever, and they dump their shit in there and throw straw on it so it doesn't stink. And yeah, and that's it. And then they just throw it in the spreader once a year or whatever. Drive around the field and it spreads it. No big deal. The way the earth works is when you put poop on the ground, it's like a scat, or it's like a cut to the earth. So it sends sugar up to create like a scab. If you eat your scabs, it's gross. They're sugary. They're really sweet. So, and then the plants live off of that sugar. That's why it takes years for poop to get. You got to age it before you use it in your garden. But it'll pull sugars out of the earth, and those sugars feed nutrition to your plants. And that's how manure works. But then, more important, I know of, look around, okay? Here's the thing. They tell us that we came over here 1400s. So we had a while, a few hundred years of fighting and trying to settle. And then all in the 1800s, all in 1 year, those farmers and shit with their horses and buggies went around and built all the parliament buildings and all the museums and all the old schools and all those buildings, all dug all the canals, going miles through mountain ranges and everything else without dynamite. All they had was gunpowder. And so we're told that they did all this in like 100 years. And then when you look into it, certain architects are ascribed to 6, 7 of these buildings all in a year, with all these beautiful sculptures and the pillars and like the White House and the Parliament building and all the huge churches that we see all over. Those were all capacitors and batteries for free energy. And then we see that the bottom layers, like 2 meters of it all, is buried with silt, right? So something happened to fill in all those roads everywhere. But if you dug the roads down and then kept digging down a little bit deeper, they'd all be canals themselves. So all these huge city systems and all these beautiful big gardens and all this stuff had this hydroelectric water all running through it, and all these city streets and everything, and all these churches and stuff. And when you take the glass out of all the windows, you can see the design in the concrete. Well, all those designs are electrical flow designs, and like the big cathedrals and stuff with like the little rose shaped things inside of the dome, and they got like perfectly symmetrical roses all the way around. They didn't do that in a year with a horse and buggy and a plasterer, when they still had to keep their farms going, feed their kids, raise their, look after their wife, all that other stuff. There just wasn't the manpower to do something like, we can't do that today. Build buildings like that, especially that many in a year, right? When we build a skyscraper, which is just a big box, it takes years and years, but by the time you get the finish and the drywall and the crack fill and all that shit on, and it's fucking easy. All that stuff's designed to be easy and quick. So there's just no way. There's another story behind all of that stuff. There's several different theories that I've heard of. So far, I think the one I still like the best is that that's all just pre-flood, and that's why the sediment got dropped off there and buried in all the roads and everything, because everything was underwater for a while, and the water would have been its shallowest there, right? And those are all stone buildings and things, so that it wouldn't have really destroyed the buildings. It would have just, but it would have dropped the sediment everywhere, dirtied everything up, so they would have had to clean it all. But they had a couple thousand years to renovate and clean them all. And then even then, like they built some of these buildings supposedly in the 1800s, and they tore a bunch down in the 1900s, and then they had to remodel a bunch of them. Doesn't make sense. But it does make sense that they were huge capacitors, and there's a video that explains all this. The theory behind a lot of it is different because, well, they have a different theory about what the Earth is, but the evidence that they lay out about our history and then show us what the buildings are, and we go see them. I grew up in a port city, so I could just go see all these things, these buildings. Now, obviously, I don't think they were water roads where I'm from, because the roads would have had to have been so deep, it would have been crazy in some of the churches. But 2 meters is a lot underground. It's like close to what, 12 feet or something. Or no, it's not. It's close to 10 feet, 8 feet, whatever. Story and a half. And then and that's just to get to the street level of what the buildings used to be. And then if you went down another meter to get deep enough to run boats and things through it, I guess. Anyhow, all this stuff wasn't built in a year, and it's too perfect when we look at electrical. And then when you look at the cities and how they're laid out, they look like huge circuit boards. So there's a reason for all of that. And then when you play musical tones and things like this, you will see the same patterns, adding electricity to different things. And we can notice a lot of similarities in the atmosphere, in the electrical atmosphere. So, and then they used a lot of magnets and stuff. We actually had personalized magnetic driven flying carriages. You can see video of it now. I don't know if it's real. It's old, right? Black and white. Could have been strings or something. But we're seeing that technology today, again, starting to resurface just a little tiny bit. And then we know Tesla, and he was using the same technology. Now they say that he was controlled opposition, where he presented the technology incorrectly in order to be able to have a scarecrow you could beat down. I don't know. But either way, we know that technology is there. We know that there's free energy for us all. We don't need to be living the way we do. And then there's resources like crazy to go around. It's insane. When you look at like Africa, resource-wise, it's one of the richest countries in the world. But then they keep it poor and use it as an example to keep us in line. Like, oh, well, you could be in Africa or whatever. It could be worse. Just tote the line and shut your mouth. Anyway, it pisses me off sometimes when I think about what we're supposed to have and what we do have. And then even like helium is hoarded away from us by NASA. And they tell us that, you can't, there's only a limited amount in the earth. And then once we use it up, it's gone. So we can only use it for party balloons and NASA balloons. That's bullshit, because the sun makes helium, and the sun's contained in our atmosphere, creating helium all the time. They say now the sun makes helium out in outer space or whatever, and we could try to harvest it someday. I think that's a line of truth mixed with a lie, in order to convince people that they've, like down the road, they'll say, oh, we ran out of helium on Earth, but with our super technology, we've been able to go to the sun and harvest helium from there with these probes, and we bring it back, but we only have a limited amount because of the probes, and it costs so much, and blah, blah, blah. We need billions of dollars from the taxpayers in order to have helium for your balloons, right? And then they'll up the price of helium again, and all the while they're just straight lying. There's tons of it. Be something to learn how to harvest it, I guess, out of the atmosphere. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave yous be with my little bitch and my bitching thoughts. Just remember, it's going to turn around. one way or the other. Shit's gonna settle itself out here in the next maybe a year, right? Um, it's a whole other topic, but the election coming up in the States, and the Democrats know they're going to lose. They know they're not going to be able to get away with the cheating the way they did last time. And because they're getting busted for it all over the place already. So we got time enough to shut that down and stop being able to do ID-less voting in the booths or whatever, the drop-off boxes. And so then after that, we can, they're going to, that's why I screwed up. They're going to run out of options, but they're playing out their cards already of what their plan is, because this is Dan Bongino's rule, but Democrats have a pattern where they'll accuse you of doing something and say that it's bad. Then they'll start doing it, and then they'll tell everybody that it's good, and that it's good that they're doing it. They'll say, you're doing it, we're not, even though they are, or at least planning on it. And then you say, okay, well, I busted you, you're doing it. And then they'll say, yeah, well, we're doing it, but it's a good thing. So right now they're saying Trump's going to stop elections, and he's going to start throwing people in prison and killing dissidents and doing all this shit. Well, hello, that's them playing their cards out. They're telling you what it is that they're about to do. It's come election season, they're going to they'll go to civil war before they lose. That's the way I see it. I would say that it wouldn't be much of a civil war because you're going up a bunch of liberal faggots. But, sorry, I shouldn't have used that word. You're going up a bunch of liberals anyways. So they're all, not all, I guess, but majority of them aren't the strong Republicans. They're not at the gym and stuff. There's some big trans women, I guess, and they're nuts because they're on hormones, but they're they're few and far between enough that we outnumbered them 10-1. But they just flooded America with, doubled the population with illegals that are all military age and stuff. There's a reason that they're doing that. And they all got phones, and they got new clothes, and they got apartments and all this shit. They're just waiting for the phone calls, and then they'll go out. They'll send a group text to all of them, and they'll go do whatever fucking plan it is that they're going to do, whatever they're here for. But I don't see this election cycle going well. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know. I'm going to let you go. Talk to you next time. Have a good day.